Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 4 already from Creative Collaborations, Conversations with Jillian and Veronica. And my name is Veronica, and I'm happy to have Jillian here with me today again.
Hello again. It's me. So today we're going to talk about the topic of creativity in business. So let's chew on that for a moment. But before jumping in, let's just do a quick check-in because truthfully, we haven't chatted in a minute. So how are you? What's going on? Any new discoveries, new things happening? Meet anybody new? Fun fact, anything? What's happening in Veronica's world?
Quite a lot. I'm just back from holiday, so I'm trying to get back into the rhythm. And always when I do that, I like to go back a little bit to do some research and see what is happening, look at statistics that I think they're so important for us as marketeers to see what is happening. And funny enough, right before our meeting, I was looking over one of the blogs I'm following, and this comes together with the fact that we do have more and more clients interested in paying advertisement. But actually, the statistic for last year, they are showing that almost 50% of marketeers, they see the highest ROI coming from organic search, and only 3.4% actually coming from a paid advertisement. And it's so interesting when you see statistics, but the clients are so keen in actually spending huge amounts of money on Google advertisement.
Yeah,
and just trying to convince them to place that same amount of money in content or events or anything else that will produce organic traffic, and the return will be much higher.
Yeah,
but how about
that's so
you?
interesting. No, hold on, I have to ask, are you okay to share which website or which blog it is that you follow? I'm curious.
There are several, but let's I need to see which one because there were several, but I'm going to place the link in the description so people can actually see all the statistics, because there are tons of statistics there. And why I like this website, the research is actually provided based on different resources. So it's not just their own research,
singular.
But it's not singular. So they get their data from several other places. So this is why I like it, because it's not just one opinion. So there are data from several places put together. So the accuracy of the numbers is higher. But definitely it will be, let me look quickly which one it was, this one. And I think it was, yes, VP Beginner. And I'm going to, again, place the link in the comments, Sure. How about you? What tool did you discover?
Yeah. No, I just have to say quickly, it's so interesting to hear you say that, because I feel like it's probably not surprising that it resonates with me, the statistic and what you're talking about, and also the kind of I feel like knee-jerk reaction of clients a lot to automatically want to go to let's do ads, and it's just this cycle. I think ads can be great as a part of a strategy, but not it's often kind of overplayed, I think.
I agree.
And so being able to earn, it's like the peso model. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that from Ginny. So that'll be another great link to add, but it's so much like earned and organic is so huge. So anyway, interesting to hear you say that, because I can
just to finish this, how I actually see this. You do need paid advertisement, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not to do it, but in my opinion, this will be a sprint. Marketing is like a marathon. You need to have a long-term strategy, and then you do have the peak moments where you want to be more in the public's eye or their mind, and then you do paid advertisement, but they shouldn't be your main campaign. They shouldn't be your main strategy, because it's not sustainable on long term.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I'm going to go very on topic for today. So my new exciting, I guess I want to call it a toy, which I guess it's not a toy, but for me it kind of is my new fancy whiteboard behind, as you can see. So aside from spreadsheets, whiteboards are like my favorite thing. It's like how I think, it's how I process things. I have ideas and whatnot. And so I have a brand new office space. Finally, it's been in construction for several months. finally have it. And today's the first day that I can write on my new fancy whiteboard wall. So hello.
This is so cool.
Yay.
I'm so envious right
now.
now. I'm
I
thinking, can I
know,
convert the wall behind me? But it's quite far
Yeah.
away.
I know, I'm really excited about it. So yeah, it's this company. It's a CO2 neutral paint company called Escrio. So I can add the link. So that's my new
It's just a
update.
layer of paint.
Well,
That
two
means
layers actually.
two
but,
layers.
correct. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Special markers and special.
You just
Yeah,
gave
but like
me an idea.
it's so I know, but look, it's like so great. I love it. This is
It's
very
actually
exciting.
better than the old-fashioned whiteboard that sometimes you have problems. I do know I have
Yes.
one, and I just have problems cleaning it.
Yeah. So that's my update on the topic of creativity. I can now be creative, and I have lots of colored markers. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be used to the fullest. So congrats.
Yes.
That's a nice addition to your office.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. So creativity. How do you think about creativity in business, or how do you approach creativity, or how, I guess, do you think of it as like a mindset, or their tactics, or their etc.? I'm curious how you think about creativity with business.
It's such a good question, and that makes me think about I don't know if you met him. He's David Kisselet, and we did work together on different things. We were working actually to launch a product, a service together. But what struck me when we first met, he's actually very involved into creativity, doing different workshops. He's a public speaker, book writer, so he does a lot of things, and he's a fantastic person. But we met over a coffee to catch up before the pandemic, actually, right before the pandemic. When I still had an office those times. Can you remember them?
Yeah, way back then. Yeah.
And we were chatting, and I said something in the line that I'm not a very creative person, that I just focus on more on facts and putting together information and planning. So that was in my head. And then he started asking me different questions like, but aren't you writing articles? Don't you do videos? I was also creating a conference at that point. And the questions that he kept on asking me made me realize, wait, actually, everything that I do is creative. But what I realized, and I'm pretty sure that's not only me, and that's also an invitation for our listeners, how do you perceive creativity? Is that for you, creativity is just you pick up, as you said, the colorful pens and you start the drawing? Is that creativity for you, or you need to be very artistic? Or how do you see creativity? Because if you really look around us, creativity is in everything that we do. Creativity for me is, how do you do something? Do you do it as everyone else, or maybe you add your own touch? And what I see at my clients, everyone, that's the first step also from the spin methodology. What we do, the first thing is establishing what makes them, what makes them special. How can we bring their company personality into everything that they do? And for me, that actually is what creativity is. That will bring the creativity into work, because that will make you different. How about you?
I like that. For me, what comes to mind is that creativity is not just for creatives, right? And so there are two examples I have in mind. First is thinking of creativity in relationships, because I can't help myself but always feel like, everything lands at spreadsheets, whiteboards, and relationships, I suppose. But yeah, so several years ago, I was hired to shake hands at this event. It was like A-list business owners, a very high-level event. And so while I was there, I met lots of VCs and folks in private equity and whatnot. And so one of the guys I kind of introduced myself to, he introduced himself in a very conventional, boring way. And so after he went through his whole shtick, I just looked at him and I said, wow, really exciting. And I said, surely there has to be something interesting about you besides that. And he was looked at me like shocked that I said that. And then a giant smile went across his face. He laughed and he's like, music. I love music. And I was like, tell me more. And he was like a different person. He lit up. He was animated and like warm and just had a great vibe. And so he was telling me about what he plays, etc. And he mentioned that he plays harmonica. So fast forward a few months later, I was at a client's, I had a client at the time as a music store, and I was visiting them, doing a site visit. And I noticed they had this little like bucket, like in one of those impulse buy things at the cash register. And they had a little bucket of little mini harmonicas. And I saw the harmonica and I thought of Lenny, of course. So I bought the harmonica and I put it in a little packet and I just said, you know, I saw this, I thought of you. Now you can keep your music with you everywhere you go. And I sent it. And that was it. And I moved on. And so, anyways, I guess a couple months later or something, I happened to be, actually, I know specifically where I was. It was my first time ever surfing. I was sitting on the beach in San Diego when I got the call from, I had just surfed or I was just about to surf. I got this random phone call from Lenny. And so I said, hello. I saw that it was him calling. I said, hello. And I didn't hear a voice, but I heard a harmonica like this. And I'm like, what? And he was like, Jillian, this is the best gift I've ever received. And he proceeded to tell me the whole story. So, and, you know, anyway, so many things have happened as a result of that. But that's the first example that came to mind when I think of, you know, creativity and how that has manifested in my business. Again, through the lens of building a relationship. And so the way I see creativity there is just, you know, kind of being willing to color outside the lines a little bit and to, to take action and let somebody know that we're thinking of them, and maybe having conversations that are a little bit out of the box. But yeah, that's one of my favorite memories. Being connected to my first time surfing actually helps, of course. But yeah, the harmonica story. So that's one of my examples. Yeah, thank you. So that's creativity for me.
I do think creativity can lead to amazing things, and for me, actually, creativity was when I saw the creativity at its most, if you can say, that was during the pandemic. And I know that looking at my clients, how I have a personal trainer as a client, we moved everything online, and how actually her business boomed and is still booming because of that. And we launched a new series of services. Or this is how the online networking with the spin was born, because of the pandemic and the fact that we couldn't meet face to face. And I said, this is unacceptable. I think the fact that we have so much, we have access to technology, and the fact that we can't get out of the house shouldn't stop us. And guess what? Besides here in the Netherlands, I would have met people based in Amsterdam and around Amsterdam. Guess what happened?
Yes.
I started meeting people all over the place, all over the world, because of the online. And I think the hard part comes, when do you need to switch, when it's time to pivot, when it's time to do something different, when it's time to be creative again, and not to say, I was creative, I came up with this amazing idea, but what now? When should you? Because I think it's very easy from the moment you are creative, and we do see it around us, to come up with a great idea and then to keep on going with it until you lose interest in it, or maybe it's not as important, or it doesn't apply. Because as you see, times changed. A good example with the online networking with the spin, I actually had this discussion with my team and with quite some people. Should I stop it? Should I move it offline? What should I do with it? In my case, because the purpose was to connect people, and now I have such an international audience, it doesn't make sense to stop, because I will lose probably 2/3 of the people. They are not based in the Netherlands, so that doesn't make sense. But there are different, like the example I gave before, the lady, the personal trainer, she's still running actually classes, but at a different pace. They are smaller groups now. So I think it's important, and I'm curious what you think about that. When should you change? When should you switch? When should you add a new drop of creativity into your business?
Yeah, I think So the way I hear that is thinking, creativity can be what you do, like it can be kind of focused on creating something, right? A new service, a product line, whatever it is. Um, but it can also be how we do things, like how we think about things, right? So it can be just embracing creativity in the way that we access or communicate to our audience, our customers or our prospects, right? Um, and so there's a second example that I have, and it's very recent. It was actually this morning, yesterday and today. Overlapping 2 days because of time zones. But anyhow, so a specific example about content. So there's a very well-known podcaster named Esprit Devora. I'm not sure if you know her, but you should. Everybody should check her out. She's really amazing. She's recorded hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes and produced shows for major brands, etc. Anyhow, so I think what she did, what I've observed her do in the last 24 hours, which I'm sure she's been doing for years, but in this case, it involved me directly, is really interesting. So she has a LinkedIn show that she does about podcasting. So she does a live LinkedIn show. And so recently I had registered to attend it, but was not able to because I had a conflict in schedule and the time of whatever. So I couldn't attend. Anyway, she still wrote to me. I made a comment in the group, in the event page, that I really had hoped to be able to attend, but I couldn't make it. And that if it happened again, that I would love to, the opportunity in the future. And so I just kind of closed the loop on that because I don't like to register for something and not show up. But so I felt like that's the next best thing I could do is just make a comment. So she then used that opportunity to then write to me directly on LinkedIn as a DM, sent me a connect request, sent me a DM and said, Jillian, if there's any question you have specifically, let me know and I'll answer it for you. So I'm like, oh, the pressure, one question. So of course I had to ask like 3. So I did. So what she responded to me by doing an audio. So she responded to my questions in an audio form, but published them through Twitter. So
smart move.
She was able, this is how, for me, it's like so creative. So I was like, so appreciative of her input around my questions, but probably even more so like thrilled and intrigued and like major kudos for the creativity and how she basically checked 3 boxes at once. So I feel like there's also a sustainable thread here too. It's like really efficient. So she answered my questions first. She also helped, other people in the on the planet who maybe have that same question by publishing it. And third, she created content on 2 channels at the same time. So it's a really cool example. And just while we're here for a moment, I had asked what she uses for tools. I'm always interested in tools. I'm like one of those gadget tool nerds. So two tools that she recommended, and also through her network has shared in the Twitter thread as well. Headliner.ai and swellai.com. So a couple of tools for any other podcasters out there. Check those out for show notes, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of good stuff. So anyhow, so that's another example of creativity, I think. And so it can be about just creating enough space to be creative in how we, provide value to our audience or to our customers or to prospects.
Yeah. I love that. Definitely, I'm going to check them out. And let's make sure we add the links together with the link that I mentioned. I'm looking at the time, and the 2 of us, usually we tend to talk quite a lot and forget to stop that our listeners don't have so much time. But let's do it a little bit different. Shall we launch this question to our listeners? How about they share with us? They either to an audio on LinkedIn that you can use, also on Twitter, so you have several content, or in the comments, or however you prefer. How to use creativity in your business? I think it's an important topic, and actually I'm curious to see how everyone interpretation of this is and how do they apply it, because looking around we can give a lot of examples and you can do so many things, but to learn how it is to listen how others are doing it. And for me personally, I don't know about you, but what that generates in me, it's actually curiosity and sparks ideas on how can I implement something similar, not copy pasting it, because
Right.
I actually hate that. And when you see competitors, they are just, that's the recipe, I'm just going to take this, copy paste it, and my business should run. I think you need to get inspired from what others are doing, but give it a twist, put a spin on it, make it yours, adapt it to your company identity, look at your audience, because it doesn't make sense to do the same thing as your competitor if your audience is different, or maybe your audience will not going to respond to that way you are presenting it. Maybe your audience prefers podcast and listening instead of, as in example, instead of writing content. So you can use the same tools. I think it's about using the same tactics, because we all have access to the same tactics, but it's how do you use them, and how do you, what's that special sauce that you add to everything that you are doing that actually makes you unique and makes the company your company.
Yeah, I think for sure. And just one other kind of, I suppose maybe cherry on top, or a little bit tongue in cheek, or I feel like maybe a good way to underscore who we are is, I feel like it's a creative approach to actually collaborate with a competitor. And so I feel like we both get points for creativity in just by the notion of us, collaborating through this podcast. And so I highly encourage others to explore that avenue as well. So it's creative. It's not mainstream. The mainstream version of how to handle competitors is to try to beat them or copy what they do and all of these things. But there's a whole nother side of that coin, which is through collaboration.
Exactly.
And so I feel like that's a wildly relevant example of creativity.
And if you're right, actually, we are competitors, but if we really look deep down, we have different styles, we have different approaches, we do work with different clients, even some of them may be the same, but it's like people, you can't connect with everyone. So I do prefer to be able to recommend them to someone that I trust and I appreciate the work that they are doing. And I think that's more important than just saying I'm better than someone else.
No, for sure. I agree with that. So creativity in business, there's lots of opportunities. It sounds like, I think some of our takeaways, or at least my takeaway from this conversation, is thinking about, the things that we can do that are creative, as well as having a creative mindset and how we approach things and how we think about things, whether it's content, whether it's their relationships and how we approach, providing value, etc. So there are different ways to kind of embrace and deploy creativity in our business. So hopefully our examples today have been helpful. And like you said, Veronica, I'm curious what other people's experiences or ideas are around the topic as well.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you. It's a mindset. It's really a mindset.
Yeah. All right. So until next time, cheers.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.